Autism Society, and today I'm joined by Julia and Tommy, and we're going to be talking about dyspraxia. So Tommy, are you okay to just introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm Tommy, and I have dyspraxia.
And Julia?
Hello, I'm Julia, and I'm 50, and I'm Tommy's mum, and I have dyspraxia too.
Great. Okay, so how would you describe dyspraxia?
Do you want to go first, Tommy?
I guess a coordination problem, or maybe like can maybe sometimes affect concentration or memories, memory sometimes.
Okay. And what about you, Julia?
Well, you know, it's interesting because I was saying to Tommy that when I was growing up, I was always told that I was a clumsy child. And I think dyspraxia was known as that with my generation. It was called the clumsy child syndrome. So I just remember being told a lot by people around me, not intentionally to be cruel, but they would often say to me, "Oh, Julie, you're so clumsy, you know, oh, you've made a mess of this." So I just remember being clumsy, and I had the double whammy, which Tommy has, which is we're both left-handed. And I think being but what we discovered as time went on, that actually with dyspraxia, often people are not either left or right-handed. So actually Tommy and I are both able to do some things left-handed, some things right-handed. So it just depends. But that added to the clumsiness. So when people taught me things, they taught me the right-handed way. Okay. So on top of being clumsy, I also had to learn things in the opposite way to the way that was comfortable for me, because I was mainly left-handed. But luckily I could learn some things right-handed quite quickly. So, but it was an awkward thing. So I think whereas Tommy knew, you know, that he was dyspraxic, and I think we've been able to put certain things in place to support that, whereas I had to kind of muddle through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Much more, I think.
Yeah, and I think my next question actually is, what would you like people to know about dyspraxia? And I think that people thinking it's a clumsy child, actually dyspraxia is much more than that, isn't it? So tell me, what would you like people to know about dyspraxia?
Well, it makes it hard to do, like I guess physical activities, like in stuff in PE. I guess that makes it more difficult.
Yeah, so it would be helpful if people understood that a little bit more.
Yeah, because I feel like, I don't know, I feel like maybe some people like me with dyspraxia, that I don't know, like the PE teacher and the other pupils like look at that someone with dyspraxia and think they're not very good at PE or something.
Mm-hmm. When actually, I suppose often you're trying really, really hard, and people aren't understanding that, are they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tommy used to say to me things like, people will give him instructions, but not break down the task. And I think I used to have to go to school quite a lot to say that, didn't I? That it's not that Tommy can't do the task, it's just he needs it to be broken down into little chunks so that he can do one bit, then he can do the next bit. And I've found over the years with Tommy that if you explain that, he's really good and able to do a lot of things. But the sad thing is that people, if they don't put those supports in place, then it means that people with dyspraxia are left behind a little bit, especially in group situations. So, for example, I can't cycle, excuse me, but I think if maybe I'd been sort of taken aside and said, right, you do this bit and then that bit, I possibly could have done, but I gave up over the years. But I think people do assume that we're clumsy people, but I think actually we're not. And what I find about Tommy and me is actually we're really good at paying attention to detail and following instructions. So actually, if people give you clear instructions and clear steps, we're actually really good and quite capable people. So I think it's that. I think we would like people, well, I would like to know, people to know that, you know, dyspraxia is not just about being clumsy. It's actually that we just need tasks to be broken down. And if you break those tasks down for us a little bit more, you'd be really quite surprised how capable and able we are.
Yeah, definitely. It comes back to labels again, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And people making judgments. It draws quite a parallel to autism as well. What we see for autistic people is a lot of misunderstanding and a lot of judgment and labels without actually getting to know people, and that, you know, it isn't just a clumsy child, it isn't just a lazy adult. There's actually some real challenge happening there, and you're trying your best, you know, in a world that sometimes just isn't open-minded enough, I think.
Yeah, I think even with the supports put in place for Tommy's autism as well, that sometimes people don't understand the dyspraxia part. And sometimes, because it does often come with other conditions, that it's difficult to break down which is which condition. So how do you support both of those? But actually, quite often, a lot of the autism strategies are really useful for dyspraxia, but there's an added thing that you need to think about, sort of the motor aspect, the planning aspect of dyspraxia, because those instructions that might help with an autistic child need to come along sometimes with things like modeling. I've found with Tommy and I over the years, if we model things, if things are modeled to us and we copy each step, then we can cope a lot better. And there's a lot of visuals that are used for autistic children and adults, but sometimes the physical modeling as well is just as important. You know, so sort of showing me, right, you hold your hand like that, then you do that, is much more helpful than showing me a picture with a hand that way and a hand that way, because that's not actually physical, you know, it's not. So I think sometimes Tommy went to a great course, didn't you, Tommy? You know, remember your motor skill course at the Craig Halbert Motor Impairment Centre. And Tommy, would you say that some of those exercises were useful? When they were sort of showing you how to do things?
Yeah, I think they were quite helpful.
What was helpful, particularly when you did the exercises?
I can't remember much. It was a few years ago.
Oh, I was setting her up there and he's knocked me down. But I mean, I used to see that the OTs and the physios that worked with Tommy, when they did the exercises, they would be opposite him. So they would show him. So they would be doing the movement with him, and mirroring it. And I found that Tommy, it was amazing how much he showed that he could do physically, and his physical strength and confidence really built because he was taught that way. But the problem is that sometimes, you know, there's less knowledge and understanding of that in schools, maybe. You know, and particularly PE teachers, I think, don't get that that's maybe what a dyspraxic young person needs, is a bit more modelling of the task and breaking it down.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. So with that, Tommy, does dyspraxia make certain things tricky? Like, I know Mum's just mentioned PE then. Is that something that's tricky for you?
Yeah. And probably some other things. I'm trying to think of an example.
Yeah.
Wow.
Do you think self-care, looking after yourself, cooking?
Well, to be honest, I've never really tried it much anyway, so I don't really know.
Do you think there's a reason why you've not tried, though? Do you think it is because you find it difficult?
Maybe.
Yeah. Sometimes Tommy and I have been doing a lot of work. Tommy's just leaving school this year, and we've been doing a lot of life skills with him. And again, what I found, for example, Tommy did a wonderful soup and cake yesterday, and he's great if I'm there prompting him and helping him with the steps. And it's been the same with sort of self-care skills, you know, sort of looking after yourself, cleaning yourself and things like that. But sometimes Tommy will say to me, yes, I'm going to do that. And then he goes away, and I say to him later, oh, did you remember to do that? No, I forgot. And as I said, even actually when there's, I've got a chart in the bathroom showing you the steps to do certain self-care tasks, it's sometimes still not enough. He needs the verbal prompts or the physical prompts.
Remember to check the chart, isn't it? And
yes,
that, Tommy, that must be quite tricky. If if you're trying to do something and you forget, might be quite frustrating for you, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with PE, Tommy, how did you used to enjoy PE, or did you not like it?
It was okay sometimes, but sometimes I felt that I don't know, I felt like most people didn't seem to understand why I wasn't always that good, and people would like give me instructions and use kind of like sports terms that I had no idea what they meant, and they expected me to know what it meant, but I didn't really know, so I wasn't really doing anything because I didn't know what they were telling me to do.
Yeah. So I think it's about how other people can present information, isn't it, to make it easier for you and other people. I think that's important.